Okay, is this the meditation or is,
Yep, I'll go right into it. Let me give you this.
okay.
Beautiful. All right. Hey, for those of you I haven't met, I'm Bill McClane, and I'm a member of the congregation here. We are a lay-led congregation, which means that if you show up on multiple services, you'll see different people standing here. Very often, members of the Unitarian Universalist ministers, speakers, guest speakers from all over, and especially other people from the congregation. So, if you don't like the service today, hang on. You got another one coming with somebody else who's probably good after this. But in the meantime, the following exercise is adapted from one that was shared by James Barres in Tricycle, the Buddhist Review. And it includes elements of a similar exercise found in the Book of Joy, and that was authored by the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Tutu. So if you would, please adopt a relaxed posture. Focus on the heart center. As you inhale, visualize breathing in benevolent energy from all around you. And with each exhalation, allow any negativity to be released. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, if you would, please consider all the people who are responsible for your life. The parents who gave you life, the teachers who taught you, the countless others who are responsible for your having the life that you have each and every day. All those who discovered and created the crops and medicines and housings that we take for granted. All the ancestors that had to live and survive so that you could be born, and who braved enormous hardships so that you could have the life you do now. The family and friends who give your life meaning and purpose. Now, if you would, reflect on a person or situation that you're grateful for. Begin with the phrase, I'm grateful to, or I'm grateful for. And invite into your awareness an image of that person or situation. Fully express your gratitude, taking the time to feel the energy of that blessing in your life. I'm grateful to, or I'm grateful for. Now, take a moment to silently send a thought of appreciation to that person or that situation. End with the intention to express your gratitude directly to those who come to mind. Make it tangible. Imagine yourself doing this. See yourself doing this. Welcome back. Notice the feeling of well-being as the meditation ends. Now, as an experiment, do this as a daily gratitude practice for a week and notice its effects. So, now some of you were here. It was several weeks ago, actually. It had been a long and insufferable talk, right? It was on God, of all things. But now the service was drawing mercifully to a close, and there was just one more comment. Remember the congregation, you know that, right? There's always that one extra person who won't let you go. You're ready to go. You've a long time ago, ready to go. And he started. Said, I wanted to apologize for appearing distracted, he said. But there was a red-tailed hawk just outside the window. There's no hawk there, by the way. Elvis has left the building. But there's a red-tailed hawk then. That's outside the building. And I had to look at it. And with that, everyone who was able, and a couple who were not, rushed to the window to admire the hawk. And for a brief moment, the Unitarian Universalists assembled at 381 East King Street knew joy and were changed. Thank you. So you know that feeling that you have when you're convinced that you're missing something, right? Maybe you can't put words to it. Well, that's the way this topic has been for me. I guess you would say that I really wanted to hear this topic, but nobody else would do it. So here I am. You and I both are stuck around, right? But maybe you've had some of the same experiences that I've had. So sometimes it's a daily checklist of work or whatever. So I like to think I'm a pretty productive person. And sometimes the tasks that I do are simply things that need to be done. They aren't particularly joyful in and of themselves. And the task list itself doesn't provoke joy either. And I can start tomorrow with a new set of to-dos. And sometimes I find that I invest my time in entertainments that bring absolutely no joy. I am serving advertisers and media moguls who profit from my interactions, who commodify and market my attention, but they offer little else. It's just one more click that shows me pretty much what I've already seen before, all selected on that big algorithm in the sky. It's the empty calorie equivalent of real interaction. And then there's the drumbeat of conflict and devastation of innocent people abroad and the denial of opportunities right here in our neighborhoods. I try to be well informed. I suspect you do too. But sometimes being informed can be painful. Can I really dare to be joyful when there's so much wrong in the world? Sometimes my personal search for happiness seems to be an affront to the situation of others. But most insidious are the times that I think I'm simply letting life slip by me. Life does go on, doesn't it? Regardless of how we participate in it. Is there something called joy to be had? If so, where is it? What is it? And what can we do, if anything, to have that experience? So, what is joy? So first, joy is different from mere happiness, right? And we often use the term synonymously, but they're different. Now, happiness is a state of contentment, satisfaction, and well-being. It shows up more or less where you expect it. It's a good relationship, a rewarding job, the enjoyment of a good meal, or the relief that comes from a problem solved. And there's nothing wrong with happiness, of course. And our Constitution calls out the pursuit of happiness as a right of all people. Let it be so. By contrast, joy is a deeper and more profound experience in which we connect with that which is greater than ourselves. Joy is an affirmation of the inherent goodness of all creation. That's why we do a sermon on joy. Not just because it's interesting, it is, but it's foundational to our faith. It's foundational to our way of looking at the world. It's foundational to our way of being in the world. Joy is fundamentally a religious experience. It connects us with others and the ground of our own being. Now, it's also important to know that suffering does not preclude joy. Recently, a close aunt of mine passed away following a terrible battle with pancreatic cancer. It wasn't a happy time. But there are still moments of joy, however. The very complex family pulled together to support her in ways that we couldn't have imagined previously. We can't disregard suffering, but suffering and joy can live together, and suffering can remind us all the more to celebrate the goodness in life. Now, this experience isn't for sale at the drive-through coffee shop or anywhere else, despite the advertising. This kind of thing we're talking about here is something we don't control and maybe even don't deserve. It could be the touch of a sunset on the trees, the sound of rain on the roof, deep affection of a furry friend. It could be the sounds and experiences that bring back memories of loved people. It could be the appreciative gesture of a life partner. This kind of experience so thoroughly infuses the spirit that few responses are sufficient to express it. That's joy. Now, if you would, I know we just went through a guided exercise and everybody woke back up at the end, and that was really good. So you're still here. This is great. We're going to test things out again. Don't close your eyes. But if you would, think back to a time when you experienced joy, something really joyful touched you. Now, what was it for you? Now, you can imagine you were doing one of our forum services and you're going around telling about that. Or we're doing even better, we're doing an anthology service and you're kind of leading us through your experience. Think it through if you would. How would you describe this time for you? What led up to it? What emotions did you experience? Let me give you a minute just to think about the situation and just get it firmly in your mind. A situation in which you experience deep joy. Now, if you would, here's the tough part. It gets tougher. This again. How were you changed? Your experience is your own, but how did that experience of joy change you? What was fundamentally different about you after that experience? As a result of that experience. Now, your experiences are your own, the ones that matter to you. Let me give you some options, alternatives. So, for instance, joy can change your mind. You might have come away with a more positive outlook on life, more hope, greater sense of well-being. Through your joy, you might have gained a new perspective on life. Life became brighter. Joy can also expand you. Now, some people say that their experience made them want to embrace the world. Through their joy, they found that they became more open, more approachable, more empathetic. Life became bigger. What do you think? Any of this resonating with your experience? Here's a couple more. Joy can recharge you. Many people say that their experience gave them a second wind for when they were deep into a long endeavor. They felt that their joy infused new life into goals and aspirations. Life became stronger. And finally, joy can feed hope. You might have also felt that your experience gave a new perspective to deal with setbacks and adversity. It might have been that the experience of joy provided you with the confidence that something difficult would be accomplished. Life became more positive. Now, that's a lot, right? And of course, changed people change the relationships that they are in, the people in those relationships, and ultimately the world. Maybe that's why we need more joy. Not just so we can be changed, but so that the world can be changed. Now, with all that going for it, who wouldn't want more joy, right? Whatever it is. Or is joy something limited to certain people or professions? Maybe the mystic on the mountaintop can have joy, the dancer. Maybe Bill and Linda could have joy playing the wonderful duet and not once elbowing each other. I noticed that. Okay, it's very good. Maybe the football star can have joy, but not accountants or former engineers like this one. Or maybe joy is something to be hoped for but rarely found. People can be joyful, you might be tempted to say, but its value is a result of its scarcity. And don't bother going looking for it, by the way. It'll either find you on its own or not at all. More helpful, I think, is not to think about joy as a happy emotion experienced by a few on a very occasional basis. Instead, I think we should think about joy as a very exceptional experience, which is an essential part of a life well lived. It's a state of being that finds both its source and its outcome in something greater than ourselves, and is something that we can make more possible, even though we don't control it. Maybe if we recognized how essential it is and how transformational it is, maybe then we would permit ourselves the luxury of being open to joy. We simply have to create a place for joy in our lives, both for our own well-being and the transformation of the world. So I think there are 3 steps to becoming more open for joy. Be open, be grateful, and be compassionate. Now, I'll warn you, this is my own home brew. So if you practice this and your life goes to hell in a handbasket, there are no warranties expressed or implied in this whole conversation. But I'll tell you what, I believe that these three steps describe simply how we can become more open to the possibility of joy. Let's see what you think and how it compares to your experience. Be open, be grateful, and be compassionate. Joy starts with being open. We could take more time to bask in the glory of these days, couldn't we? We could take in the beauty of our earth. We could truly, really enjoy the presence of one another. To be mindful of the underlying goodness that pervades the world and invites us to joy. To be more attentive to the little things right here in the midst of our midst that can bring us joy. We're not assured that life will be easy or free from trouble, but we can be assured that there is goodness from which we can draw and find joy. Here's the four things I think we can do to help us be open. First, you're not surprised by this, I know. We start by practicing mindfulness. We can be fully present and engaged in our current moment. We can acknowledge and accept our feelings, our thoughts, our sensations. We can pay deliberate attention to what is happening internally and externally. Mindfulness helps us appreciate the world around us and absorb the rich texture which we can otherwise overlook. Second, we can also cultivate curiosity. Now, Zen practitioners call this the beginner's mind. We can approach each new experience with openness, eagerness, and without preconcept. It's really like seeing things for the first time without the burden of past experiences or biases. We can approach everything in our world with a sense of wonder. And next, we can be fully present for others. How many of our conversations touch on the things that are really important to each other? We can listen with all our heart and mind to others. We can use the opportunities we have to fully understand and deepen our connections with them. This means asking the questions that are important, listening to what was said, and seeking to truly understand. And finally, we can seek the experiences. Now, certainly we can go to places we haven't gone before, but we can also look more carefully at things that we've seen many, many times. We can stop on the same landing that we did before and just take it all in. We can take in another person's experience. Even routine events can be new experiences. So I would offer to you that joy starts with being open, practicing mindfulness, cultivating curiosity, being fully present, going to where the experiences are, to be attentive to the underlying goodness that pervades the world and invites us to joy. Be open, be grateful, be compassionate. Now, gratitude is where we take the richness of our experience and connect it with our lives. Now, gratitude focuses on what we have rather than what we want, what we are becoming rather than what we could have been. Gratitude is being aware of and thankful for the positive aspects of our own lives and of the world around us. To experience joy, it's not just enough to have experiences. You have to also welcome them into your life. A couple of things here. We can start by reflecting on what our experiences mean to us. Every new experience brings new perspective and a chance for confirmation, recommitment, and new direction. We can be thankful for those events and the interactions that impact us for the lessons that they have brought us. We can look at our longer journey. You know, a single event may appear insignificant by itself, right? However, sometimes when a tiny, tiny event is placed in a broader context of our life journey, its contribution to that journey becomes evident. We can be grateful for the many, many experiences that have collectively and synergistically brought us to where we are today. We can also put our gratitude into words and actions. Joy is not purely an intellectual pursuit or an individual pursuit. It must deeply involve our connection with others. We can take the time to thank others for their kindness, support, and contributions. We can talk to the mountains. We can connect with the gift that they have given to us, and we can share that gift together. And finally, we can reach to that which is beyond us. Joy is not just about us, is it? Whatever your concept is of that which is beyond you, it is the vantage point for your experience of gratitude. The German mystic Meister Eckhart once said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Reflecting on the things we've experienced mean to us, looking at our experiences within our longer journey, putting words to our gratitude, and reaching to that which is beyond us. Joy takes form in our gratitude. Be open, be grateful, be compassionate. Now, ironically, the final step to opening ourselves up for joy is to take our experiences and our gratitude out into the world. The Dalai Lama once commented that if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. Now, if you want to be happy, practice compassion. Perhaps the same can be said of joy. Compassion is the life-changing part of joy. It's with experience and gratitude find their way out into being in action. Compassion is where we ground ourselves in missions that are greater than our own making and bigger than our pursuits of mere happiness. To experience joy is kind of an in and out flow of things. Not enough just to have the experience and be grateful for them. It's okay. You have to also give it away. Let me run through a couple illustrations, see what you think. Now, there's a kind of a choreograph thing here. We tried to work it out with the hula people and dancers and whatever. It just didn't work. But anyway, try it out with you. It's kind of an in and out. For example, gratitude comes into our lives when we embrace the wonders of our planet, the world around us. Compassion springs out into the world by taking care of it, by preserving it for future generations, by making the planet richer rather than poorer. The cadence makes sense. It's where the experience and gratitude find their way into being and action. I think that's where joy really lives. Let's try a few more illustrations, see what you think. Gratitude comes into our lives when we embrace the notion that we have only this time to do the work that we must do in this world. Compassion springs out into the world in how we use that time to speak for those without voices, to work for those who are marginalized and disenfranchised. Gratitude comes into our lives when we appreciate our own good fortune, what's been given to us many times before we even knew we needed it. Compassion springs out into the world when we act on a desire to help those who are less fortunate. Gratitude comes into our lives when we honor those millions and millions of lives that led us each to our own precious lives. Compassion springs out into the world by caring for others, by laboring for justice, and by welcoming those who want to be free. And finally, gratitude comes into our lives when we appreciate the warmth and the goodness of our companions on this journey. Compassion springs out into the world by our acts of kindness and community, in which we create something far greater than ourselves. So in a paradoxical fashion, joy, that seemingly inward experience, only comes truly into its own by being expressed outward. When you think about it, it makes sense, doesn't it? It just has to get out. That's our final step to experiencing joy, transforming ourselves, and transforming the world. So in sum, as preface to your comments and better observations, joy is not just a happy emotion that we hope for. It's a state of being that finds both its source and its result in something greater than ourselves. Joy is an affirmation of the inherent goodness of all creation. It's fundamental, foundational to our faith, our way of looking at the world, our way of being in the world. Joy is fundamentally a religious experience connecting us with others and the ground of our own being. Maybe if we recognize for how essential it is and how transformational it is, we permit ourselves the luxury of being deliberately open to joy. Joy starts with being open for what we're experiencing, practicing mindfulness, cultivating curiosity, being fully present with others, and seeking out new experiences. Joy starts with the experiences we choose to have, and being present for our own experiences. Gratitude is where we take in the richness of our experience and connect with our lives. It's reflecting on what things we've experienced mean to us, looking at our experiences with our longer journey, putting words to our gratitude, and reaching to what is beyond us. To experience joy, it's not enough to just have experience. We have to also welcome them into our lives and to connect them with that greater than ourselves. And finally, being compassionate is the life-changing part of joy. It's where action or experience and motion found their way into being and action. Get that right. Taking care of our planet, embracing the time to do good, alleviating the suffering of others, caring for others, and laboring for justice, and creating communities like this one, which connect and nurture. In paradoxical fashion, joy, that inward experience, comes truly into its own only by being expressed outward. Be open, be grateful, and be compassionate. Not just so we can be changed, but so that we can change the world. May you awaken joy in yourself and in all those you meet. So be it.
Don't leave. Okay. We have just a few minutes for questions or comments.